we have someone will help us straighten it out. And look at the graphic on this shit. This is World War III or Distraction is the title of this video from Russell Brand, because all of these people apparently want to make money nuking Ukraine or some shit. That's what we're supposed to, and of course, Russell doing his best impersonation of a yellow crayon after doing a great big sun. Lots of sunshine. And or either that or he's worried he was changing a tire and he didn't want to be spotted on the side of the road. We're not quite sure. But yeah, this is there'll be an ad here. Oh, kitty litter.
An amazing cat litter.
Amazing.
Pretty litter. Pretty litter is made of
That's adorable.
The most brutal thing we humans do to each other. Surely no one...
No, it isn't. War is not the most brutal thing humans do to each other. As a matter of fact, it's like third or fourth on the list. I would argue that starving people out is the #1 part of it. Yeah, actively starving out entire areas. Yeah, that's not a form of war, I guess, unless you look at it kind of long form war. Genocide would be right up there. You know, just wipe, like what's happening to the Uyghurs right now does not qualify as war. But we get the point.
Be callous enough to use war as a distraction, like a stupid illusion.
Oh, I see. And by the way, the distraction is the West is doing this as a distraction. We, because of inflation, I suppose, we'll see, made Vladimir Putin surround Ukraine. Yeah, I think the Edge fan torturing goes right up there. Yep. Yep. That can be part of war or not. Yeah. There's a lot of things that humans do awfully. Yeah. But
this hat. Hello, you glorious tribe of 5 million. Together we walk side by side, learning from one another.
No, you're not learning from one another. This is a completely rhetorical endeavor that you're engaged in. You speak only outward. I, unlike you, good sir, have a chat that I will often reference or talk to specifically when I'm not in the middle of something. And I actually engage. That would be where we go together, because some people will tell me a piece of information I might not have been aware of that was happening or any of those kind of things. And then I would refer to it, or I might differ with it and bring up another point. It's a great kind of a thing. However, this is an entirely rhetorical video endeavor that you're putting out by yourself in your rich country mansion.
Things like that war between Russia and Ukraine that doesn't seem to be happening yet, and if it does happen, then obviously we'll address it. A war that's very confusing and
obviously, it's very important. Yeah, hold on, I've got to bring in an expert who's used to talking to people like Russell. I think I have somebody in here. Do I? Let's see. Who do I have? This, yeah. Hold on, there we go. Hello. Yeah, sorry there. Yeah, you can explain the whole thing, can't you? Oh, it's good.
To understand why it's particular people's business, and is it for economic reasons?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably for economic reasons that Vladimir Putin is putting troops in Belarus for just an exercise or two, and then leaving them fucking there, all course surrounding the area in the south and in the water and blockading boats so that Ukrainians are trapped on the entire western side of their entire country or whatever. That's probably so that the UK can make a little extra money on Kit Kat bars and plastics. Right? It's probably so Big Pharma can make a lot of money.
Just be a massive distraction. And while
that's what it is. We're Joe Biden, who is a complete doddering old fool who can't actually think for himself, has got really long arms, right? And he sent one of those arms all the way across the sea, under the ground, through the London Underground, out the other side, past Sweden, up through then to St. Petersburg, under the water, right up Vladimir Putin's backside, and he's using him like a fucking Senor Wenceslas, whatever the Russian version of that would be. Yeah? And he's just controlling him, making him do that.
The subject of massive distractions, I am appearing live all over the UK. Come see me.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. Sorry. World War III has cancelled it. Sorry. Yeah, no, sorry. I'm sorry. If you got tickets for Russell Brand, I would burn him for firewood, honestly, because he's not going to give you any of his firewood. That's his. He pays a guy to chop it for him. Yeah. You're just going to have to burn your Russell Brand tickets. Sorry.
Plymouth, Glasgow, Newcastle. There's a link in the description.
Yeah, you can just click on that below. Go see me live. I mean, it's World War III and there's a distraction and they're ending the world and the Great Reset and also the poisoning us and killing us and everything. But I'll still be doing shows, won't I? Oh, that's wonderful.
If you fancy coming to watch me, I'm pretty...
I don't, actually. I've seen both your specials and I find them dry as an aspirin sandwich. You're too cute by half, mate. And you ain't got any punchlines. It's like Eddie Izzard without any of the charm or wit.
Funny, actually.
Or fashion sense. But this is a good look. You look like you look like a picture someone shows when they go, you know, originally Smurfs looked like this.
Now let's have a look at this. This is by Chris Hedges.
Oh yeah, Democrats, the more effective evil. Yeah, it's completely reasonable. That's what it is. It's infrastructure. That's the evil part. These fuckers trying to get a black woman on the Supreme Court. It's all part of their master plan, yeah? That's all how they do it, yeah?
A Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. But these days, that doesn't mean you won't at some point in the future be called a fascist. The US is a...
Hey, look. Sheer post. The US is a de facto one-party state where the ideology of the national security is sacrosanct, unsustainable debt props up the empire, and the primary business is war. Was this written in 2015?
Facto one-party state, where the ideology of...
Well, hold on. It's not our fault that the fucking Republicans shit a bed, right? Why is that our fault? We used to have two fucking parties. And what am I now responsible for making Ted Cruz act like a fucking adult?
Security is sacrosanct, unsustainable debt...
Sacrosanct, not sancrosanct. It's not about your taint, you twit.
Prop up the empire, and the primary business is war.
Well, that sounds like a fact to me. I mean, he wrote it, didn't he? It's the written word. If he thinks so, it must be the case.
Bloody hell, he goes in hard, doesn't he, this geezer?
Oh, yeah, doesn't he? Oh, yeah.
One-party state, right? So, democracy...
Yeah, so it's a democracy. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you voted for Biden, you voted for Trump. It's the same thing. They do the same shit. I mean, they don't, but they do. You know what I mean? That's how they get you.
Pointless. The ideology of national security is sacrosanct. You're not allowed to question anything if the idea of national...
The fuck are you talking about? We've got oversight committees. Of course we question it, you fuckhead. What you think? Of course we do. It's why we vote.
Security is presented to you as the reason for it, and think about the last few years: terrorism, health crisis, etc. There's
it's the same thing. War on terror, war on COVID. I mean, really, it's just so they can track you, right? That whole like contact tracing for COVID, that wasn't really to make sure people don't catch a disease and spread it all around the fucking place. It's so they could find you. Yeah, I bet there was a chip in that shit after all. That's why I heard that tinfoil hats don't work. You have to wear a yellow bean. Oh, shit.
Debt, propping up the empire, terrifying. And the primary business is war. Good night. When all else fails.
Yeah, that's not true. That's an assertion by somebody who fucking hates the country.
And you are clueless about how to halt a 7.5% inflation rate.
Hey, asshole, you don't have to halt it. It's caused by supply chain issues. It's not monetary inflation. They're not clueless. It's year over year, you asshole. As a matter of fact, it'll go down artificially. It'll look lower than it fucking is and affect monetary policy midway through the year. But keep reading.
Build Back Better bill is gutted. When you renege on your promise to raise the minimum wage or forgive student debt, I remember
that, except he didn't fucking make it, did he? And he raised it where he could. It's still got to pass as a fucking bill. We're not a dictatorship. We've got 48 senators, you bastard. He didn't promise to eliminate student debt. That's someone else's promise.
Those promises. When you have no idea how to
Yeah, I remember those promises. I remember they came out of someone else's fucking mouth.
The pandemic, which has claimed 16% of the world.
of the world's total deaths. Although we're what? When you have no idea how to handle the pandemic, which has claimed 16% of the world's total deaths, although we are less than 5% of its population. What? 16%, which has claimed 16% of the world's total deaths, although we are less than 5% of the population. The world's total deaths? The world's total people are less than 5% of its population. The fuck? If we're less than 5%, why do we have the outsized role in handling a pandemic that's affecting the entire fucking world? What? I don't understand. Kiss my ass.
Total deaths, although we are less than 5% of its population, although those mandates are working. When the stock...
What are you talking about? 16% of the world's total deaths is not 16% of America. And we being 5%, what, the United States? Or the fucking, what? What math is that? I think, honest to God, I think he left out a whole goddamn sentence in the middle of that. There's like there should be a comma or an asterisk or a fucking something right there. When the stock market fluctuates on wild roller coaster rides of highs and lows, you mean because we came out of a fucking pandemic and nobody knows how to react to the economy getting back on its fucking feet?
Market fluctuates on a wild roller coaster ride of highs and lows. That's amore. This is not going to...
I find it very curious that Chris Hayes is very upset. Oh, sorry, Chris Hedges, not Hayes. He's that other fellow with the bespeckled. He's the what you call what? He's your Tucker friend calls him Soy Boy. Yeah, on that guy, right? Yeah, that's all right. No, Chris Hedges. It's interesting. He's worried that much about the stock market fluctuating. It's like he's got a lot of money invested in it all of a sudden, and he's pissed off. It's not doing well.
Into a Dean Martin song, is it? It's a grim depiction of the reality of American life. When what?
No, it isn't. The stock market's not reflective of the real economy, asshole.
Help the government offered to the labour force, half of whom, 80 million, experienced a period of unemployment last year, sees that...
Everybody fucking did, asshole. What do you mean, half of which? We're in a pandemic, you bastard. It wasn't unemployment, it was non-employment. Everybody stayed home. Where were you? What are you doing, pretending 2020 didn't fucking happen? I'm sorry, is Chris Hedges on the COVID was a big fraud business? What the fuck?
Of the extended unemployment benefits, rental assistance, forbearance for student loans.
Sorry, sees the termination of extended unemployment benefits, rental assistance, forbearance for student loans, emergency checks, the moratorium on evictions, child tax rate. Yes. Yeah, because they outlive their usefulness and can actually contribute to the inflation that you were like, I bet you don't know how to handle inflation earlier.
Emergency checks, the moratorium on evictions, and the expansion of child tax credits, then you must make the public afraid of enemies, foreign and domestic.
Well, no. What are you talking about? So the case is, and I'm following you, you who lives under a fucking monarchy and wants to shit on my system of government in your basically racially homogenous country, the idea is that we're concocting Ukraine to deal with inflation and the fact that we have to turn off public assistance that's no longer necessary as the society opens up, because the entire point isn't to have the taxpayer who isn't working carry people forever with a tax base that doesn't exist because no one's working. The fuck are you talking about?
This depiction of contemporary American life outlines an extremely fragile and I would say frightening state. It seems...
No, it's a fucking fever dream.
Like America is a nation on the brink of crisis. I don't say that of any...
What? Based on what, you bastard? Our country's doing better than yours is.
Relish, I love the country of America. I love American people. I've lived there for
citation needed.
Portions of my life, and I think you are a beautiful, pioneering, spirited people.
Fuck off now.
This is a critique, as you are obviously aware, of your government, of corporations, and
What? No, it isn't. It's apparently that we, the American people, elect the same fucking person over and over and over again because we're too fucking stupid, so we don't know that both parties are the exact same, they're two legs in the same pair of pants and fucking... No, Hedges is saying the American public is fucking dumb across the board. Everyone. All the Trump voters, all the Biden voters. All of them fucking dumb. And all of us on the tit of a corporate war machine. And you're going, yep. That's exactly what it is.
Pretty grim one. You must manufacture
an existential threat. No, we don't. Russia invading Ukraine is not a manufactured existential threat that we fucking made up, you bastard. And secondly, neither is COVID. It was a worldwide pandemic. Ask the Italians. You think they fucking made it up?
An existential threat. You lot should probably watch.
Sorry, someone's hoping that I go, Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away.
Curtis's films like The Power of Nightmares, in which he outlined...
What? The Power of Nightmares? The Rise of the Politics of Fear? Fucko, have you seen your thumbnails? The fucking nerve of this bastard. I mean, really? Look, okay, come on. Come fucking on. Can we show you that? Hold on. Shit, now I've got to go look at this again. Shut up. I mean, honestly, this tit. Look at this. Shut up.
Look, it's me.
Hey, no, look, it's me, Russell Brand, selling my shit. The Power of Nightmares, the Rise of the Politics of Fear. This motherfucker in his goddamn nerve. The nerve of this son of a bitch. Look at his thumbnails. This is a problem for all of us. It's hard to believe this is happening. Trudeau, is this your liberal hero? He tried to tell you. Trump versus Hillary again. Johnson & Johnson lawsuits. 5 million subscribers. Thank you. All right, whatever. How do we cover this up? Trucker protest goes global. Hold the line. Mainstream media and war with Russia. World War III. So this is why they want Russia war. They knew it would kill. Dark money. This is worse than we thought. Bill Gates and his trustees. Is he serious? The end of Facebook. They're scared. Misinformation. What they're not telling you. Wait, have the truckers won? People are claiming what? This is insane. Jeff Bezos and his new super yacht. So I'm right wing now? They hate you. This goes deeper than you know. CNN, hacker, black cowl. They lied. Nancy Pelosi running for re-election? This is a real problem. This is impossible to ignore. They are distracting you. Now it makes sense. Joe Rogan and Costa and a nuclear explosion. Joe Rogan versus misinformation. This will not end well. Man in a mask and him looking like the Messiah. Vaccine passports. What do you think? The truth. Don't be stupid. Big tech planned all of this. This is what's next. What? The Great Reset is not a conspiracy? Conspiracy theory or conspiracy fact? Wait, Hillary Clinton's making a comeback. Here we go again. Canadian truckers protest, trucker convoy. There must be a lot of money to be made in these trucker fucking videos. I should have made one myself. Russell Brand reacts to viral Canadian kids slamming something. People are waking up to the lies. He's back. Klaus Schwab in the Great Reset. The narrative is crumbling. Amazon cover-up. You will own nothing and be happy. Think Big Pharma's corrupt now? This is what's next. They're doing what to vegan food? Billionaires, you die, we party. You won't believe, blah, blah, blah. What you think about this? Joe Rogan versus mainstream media lies. Who's to blame for your lack of trust? And this fucker has the goddamn nerve to put this thing on fucking screen and tell anyone, any fucking body, that weaponizing fear for political purposes is in large part, I find, a negative. Well, I can't believe it. I don't know why I've felt this whole thing. This is beyond me. How did I know? How do you know?
How the Cold War begat the war against terror, and there are...
Yeah, and how the war against terror eventually begat this fucking show and my fucking hat.
Certainly some theories around what wars subsequently followed that are interesting to read.
Yeah, very interesting. You know, obviously the Spectre is an organization bond that we have to look into. You know,
that I won't talk about here. Terrorists.
No, yes, because I don't know fuck all about it. I think I'll just bring it up and let it lay there, and you and I can wink and nod like a couple of QAnons in a coffee shop. Fantastic.
Russians and Chinese abroad expand state power in the name of national security. Certainly when...
Oh, certainly, that's what they do. There's no threats from Russia or China. I mean, they mean nothing but good in the world. If we just get out of their way. You know what I mean? Think about how much the world would be better off if it didn't have so many Uyghurs in it. I mean, think of it. Like, imagine all that oil and gas in Kazakhstan, that if you didn't have to get it out from under some Uyghurs in the western part of the fucking country, I don't know, it'd be cheaper, and then what? Then what? Oh, it'd be so much easier. And I mean, Vladimir Putin, overall, a very respectable guy. Very, you know, I mean, what's the difference? I mean, Alexei Navalny, I mean, he's no Julian Assange, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I mean, all men are the same.
That much fear, it's easier to legitimize CIA spying programs, it's easier to legitimize Canada, although I recognize that's a distinct and sovereign...
Yes, I think it's a mistake to legitimize Canada. Don't you? I mean, of all the things in the world, like, I've been on the fucking fence about this whole does Canada exist fucking thing.
Nation, but the kind of behaviour they engaged in, shutting down their bank accounts, just forbidding dissent.
Yeah, just forbidden dissent is, you know, when it blocks ambulances and school buses and all trade. I don't know why they won't just keep at it and let 10% of a group of people hold down 100% of everyone else's lives. I don't know why they won't let that go on and on and on and on. It seems weird.
In dissent which is rising up understandably because of the conditions that are being described on that continent.
Yeah, they can't go into a Tim Hortons without wearing a mask unless they've been vaccinated. I mean, wouldn't you bring guns to the border about that? I mean, honestly. Huh? How come nobody's actually thought about that? I don't know, do I?
Beat the drums of war. War is the antidote to divert...
Hold on. Who the fuck's beating the drums of war? Okay, on the one side, we're allegedly beating the drums of war. Right? We're banging the drums. We got ready for war. That's us on one side. On the other side, Putin's testing nuclear missiles. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? They want to attack Ukraine fucking again. We should just let them. I mean, it's why would we want to join the war machine? Fuck Ukraine, right? Only about 14,000 of them got obliterated last time. Small price to pay for the stock market leveling out.
Public attention from government corruption and incompetence. No one plays the game better than the Democratic Party. The Democrat...
Well, it's not faint praise, but still, that's nice of you to say. You know, it's very sweet.
As journalist Glenn Ford said, are not the lesser evil, they're the more effective evil. Wow, that's pretty heavy. That came up in my...
That's fucked up. And it's a lie. And fuck you. And it's... what a terrible fucking thing. Oh, my lips aren't chapped. It's just the way the thing looks. How you doing? I don't even know if I should have lips in this situation. Maybe I'll curl them back.
Conversation with Jimmy Dore, which is on my podcast, Under the Skin. We'll put...
Oh, well, what a weird thing. It's interesting that this would come up, and then you'd have a conversation with Jimmy Dore, who also fucking believed this bullshit.
Some of that stuff up on YouTube. Fantastic conversation. Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, it's great about how nothing we ever do is right. And if Putin wants to invade Ukraine, kill a bunch of Ukrainians, fucking businesses are of ours. You know what I mean? It was good that we didn't go into Rwanda. You know what I mean? We don't belong in any of those places. People should just be allowed to wipe out their own fucking people. And if they do it, it's none of our concern. Also, if we don't stop it when it happens, we're evil.
Cowardly left-wing person says that the efficacy of the Democrats comes in the fact that they can get away with stuff.
First of all, he's not left-wing. Jimmy Dore is not left-wing. Jimmy Dore is a right-wing authoritarian. it disguised poorly as a guy who gives a shit on occasion about Medicare for all, which he doesn't actually want to see enacted at all. Because if you take steps towards making it happen, or a version of it happening, and you don't just put up a vote that'll die, then he's not interested.
That the Republicans simply wouldn't get away with. The US burdened by...
Well, oh yeah. Oh, you mean infrastructure? You mean a rescue package that salvages 1 million jobs? The stuff they wouldn't get away with? Like what? A black woman on the Supreme Court? Is he still pissed off about that?
So tax boycotts by the rich and corporations is sinking in debt, the highest in our history. So that's...
Yeah, but the highest in our history. We've also got the highest economic output in our history. Our debt hasn't doubled since 2000, but our GDP fucking well has. And a good portion of the debt we take out is not to fund the military, it's social programs. So if you want to cut those, fucking say so.
Amazon, who I think are doing quite well in the pandemic, they ain't been paying any corporation tax.
They ain't been paying any corporation tax. Yes, they fucking well do. But they get money back if they invest in electric trucks and transportation. They've expanded more of their own transportation. They've taken more transportation out of the hands of the post office and put it on their own backs. They've got more drivers than the post office does in a lot of areas. They've been hiring and expanding. Jesus fucking Christ.
Wars are waged on...
Oh, Biden just signed executive orders for sanctions on the Donbass regions, right?
Money. The Watson Institute at Brown University estimates that interest payments on the military debt could be over 6.5 trillion by the 2050s. None of this debt is sustainable. What's...
Yeah, it fucking well is. Our economy is $24 trillion a year. And we're cutting back. And the war that Biden just got us fucking out of one. And remember, Biden's got us out of Afghanistan. We're not in fucking Afghanistan anymore. We're not. We're out. We're fucking well out. We're out. We're spending $300 million a day. We're fucking well out. So if you're going to bitch about the debt and the military and what we're doing and our adventurism and all these fucking places, then you got to give the geezer credit for getting us the fuck out. But you're not, are you? No. It's the more effective evil to get out of war. That's what they want you to think. The better version, the Republican version, would be to stay in Afghanistan forever. Fuck 2,500 troops, 8,000, 10,000, 15,000. Patrol the whole fucking country, right?
Mad, I think, is it seems to me, and this is something I'm willing to stake an opinion on, but will also admit that I cannot know much about. I feel like the world is...
What? Hey, asshole, we know...
radical need of pretty serious change, that we need to look at alternative systems, new models for living. That's why I'm...
Oh, really? Says the fucker who still lives under a monarchy? Motherfucker, we are! Democracy is the new kid on the block. We're 200 years old. We're the only one of its kind. Don't bullshit us about, do we need some new system? You need to actually, here's a good idea. Turn your country into a full-fledged democracy, get rid of your monarchy, and then give us a fucking call, you tit.
Insistent that people on apparently different lines of tribal divides find ways of getting along with each other better, because radical change can't be brought about as long as everyone is disparate, diffuse, and in...
Yeah, radical change. That's what we need. Well, I don't know why I can't bring people together on the concept of my version of radical change. I don't know why that's a non-starter. I don't know why it can't be the bridge that brings everybody together is the total fucking wreckage of our current political system, which we took millennia to build to, is the best worst system or the worst best system, depending on who you ask. But it's the only one that actually people's got a fucking say in it. Meanwhile, what's the alternative? Rising authoritarianism in China and Russia. But those guys got it bad. It's just us in the West. We're the ones fucking with them. Yeah? We're the ones causing them trouble, right, Russell? You need radical change, which, of course, is inherently divisive. Or it wouldn't be fucking radical, would it now?
constant conflict with one another, these centralised forces can continue to gad about like lunatics, running up debt, not charging the rich, all this chaos. And
not charging the rich all this chaos. They pay, oh, for fuck's sake. You live in a monarchy that owns the royal crown jewels. Fuck off.
It seems to me that we need protest, we need mass movements, and then when mass movements emerge, all right, shut that down, nick all their money out of their bank account, shut down their funding, they're all racist. But
no, don't point at me when you say they're all racist, you bastard. Nobody's saying that all the truckers were racist. There's a bunch of them that were, though. And there's a bunch of them bringing fucking guns up. That's why they shut it down. And by the way, in the United States, we've got a trucker convoy that's supposedly leaving. It's going to show up for the State of the Union to protest mask mandates. It'll be largely gone by then. Well, what we're supposed to do? If the average worker, somebody's got to go to the grocery store, pick up their kids from fucking school, has got to do what? Walk through miles and miles of fucking trucks parked in the goddamn snow because 10% of a bunch of assholes don't want to get vaccinated or don't want to wear a mask when they go into fucking Tim Hortons. Temper fucking rarely in Canada. Here's a good idea. Don't take shipments to Canada right now.
Bip the horn in his car! An economic crisis means a political crisis, and a political crisis is traditionally solved by war against enemies inside and outside the nation.
Yes, it's a great way to explain what the fuck is going on in Vladimir Putin's Russia right now. That ain't us, fucko. That ain't us. We're not bringing this shit. We've got bigger fish to fry. We don't need this bullshit. We don't. This ain't wag the dog on our end. We're not dropping fucking troops in this area to scare everybody in the world. And he's doing this shit. And we're involved. This is like a NATO alliance, and the UN Security Council is going to sanction this fucker tomorrow. This isn't the US going to fucking El Salvador or some bullshit.
Are as guilty of this as the Republicans. Wars can get started.
No, they're not. Fuck off with this nonsense. This is the idea that, hey, well, you know, if Al Gore had been elected, he'd have done the same thing George Bush did. What's the fucking difference? Well, you can tell yourself that when you want the whole fucking thing to come down. Because this is how people who don't like democracy speak. Fuck democracy. That's what they're saying. That's what this whole conversation's about. That's what Hedges is talking about. Fuck democracy. Too many people have too much say. That's it. Authoritarianism is fine as long as I'm the authority.
Democrats, such as Harry S. Truman.
By the way, people are asking who am I and who do I know. My name's Nigel, of course. It must be.
Yeah, or John F.
Give me a second. Nigel Cumberbatch. Right.
And Lyndon Johnson in Vietnam, and perpetuated by Republicans.
Wars can get started by Democrats such as Harry S. Truman in Korea, or John F. Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson in Vietnam, and perpetuated by Republicans. Yeah. Yeah, because the same geopolitical dynamics are happening right now that happened back then, aren't they? In the beginning of the fucking Cold War, post-World War II. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same fucking thing, isn't it?
They can get started by Republicans such as George W. Bush and perpetuated by Democrats such as Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Sometimes...
Hey, excuse me, fuckhead. Who ended the Afghan war? Who got us the fuck out? Who ran on getting us out and didn't? Trump. Who ran on getting us out and did? Biden. Fuck off.
I feel like we're like kids. Like when we're talking about politics, we sort of, it's as if no one goes, should we have a look at what's been going on? You know, when we're all excited.
Well, you certainly fucking don't.
We've got to get rid of Trump. We've got to get the Democrats in. Yeah, but don't you remember, like, when the Vietnam War was on? That was started by...
Yeah, man. It's like... remember the Democrats the Civil War, you know what I mean? The Republicans were actually the anti-slavery ones at that time and stuff. And I mean, yeah, I know the Dixiecrats and the switching of the names of the party, and Dinesh D'Souza runs on that fucking thing all the fucking time. But let's pretend that never happened and time doesn't move forward, and the decisions made now by people are the same as the decisions made 100 fucking years ago, or even 60 or 50 fucking years ago. Let's actually ignore the decision just made by the current Democratic president to end a war in Afghanistan, even when everybody shit on him, including Russell and all of his buddies over at Fox News and Jimmy Dore and all of his buddies over at fucking TYT. Hey? Hey? Yeah?
Democrat Party, and then the Republicans just carried on with it. No, don't worry about it. I can't believe that was ages ago. Like little kids or something. Let's look at what's been going on, look at what's happening now, and think about what we could do to make a different and better world.
Yeah, we are. That's why we're not in Afghanistan anymore, fucko. That's why we don't have troops on the ground in Ukraine. That's why we're supporting them and protecting themselves, but we're not actually going to war with somebody else on their behalf. That's why we're negotiating using France and Germany being the carrot and we'll be the stick. Because we're dealing with a lunatic.
Effectively, doesn't this sound to you like a clarion?
Chris Hedges, somebody in the chat room says, Chris Hedges supports the third party. Chris Hedges doesn't support the third party. Chris Hedges supports the downfall of the entire fucking system because he thinks it's so utterly corrupt it needs to be destroyed. And he thinks if it's destroyed, it'll magically rebuild itself in a utopian candy land of goodness. And all we have to do is go through about 45 years of Wild West lunacy world over, and eventually a utopia will come out.
For change. Doesn't this seem like a time where you might think, do you know what? I'm going to look at my priorities about where I put my energy and where I put my hatred and what I do with my mind and my thoughts and my life.
Yeah, that's a great idea. How about this? Start with your fucking thumbnails, you bastard. How about that? How about the entirety of your entire channel is run on making people shit the bed about the future? Maybe you spend all fucking day demonizing everyone, making false equivalencies. Which is, and then assuming or insisting rather that radical change, wipe it all away. Oh, isn't it nice? Oh, wouldn't that be good? It wipes it all away. Meanwhile, I live over here in a monarchy, and I know some of the royals personally, you know, and I sometimes go to them parties, don't I?
Because it seems that we might be at a point of necessary personal and cultural awakening. Bill Clinton...
What fuck does that mean? Without declaring war, impose punishing sanctions on Iraq and authorize the Navy and Air Force to carry out tens of thousands of sorties against the country, dropping thousands of bombs and launching hundreds of missiles.
Without declaring war, imposed punishing sanctions on Iraq and authorised the Navy and the Air Force to carry out tens of thousands of sorties against the country, dropping thousands of bombs and launching hundreds of missiles. It's weird that Bill Clinton went to all that trouble because he didn't need to distract anyone from anything. The war industry...
that's supposed to be the Lewinsky affair or whatever. That's not actually, that wasn't the wag the dog for the Lewinsky affair. That's a different time scale, asshole.
It's $768 billion military budget.
I don't know if Ficus has anything to say about this. I don't know. We could ask Ficus if he has an idea about this. Hold on. Hi, man. I got a lot of relatives over in England. You know, they know how to talk all pretty. But, you know, the way I talk comes from the way they talk, so that's good.
Along with the expansion of Homeland Security, the FBI, US Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
It's funny how you lump all that shit into one thing, the war industry. The war industry. They make both sides of the war? Is that what we're doing? Is that like that one group funded both sides of World War II winkety-wink small hat nonsense? I've heard some of y'all talking about that now. That dog won't hunt around here.
The National Security Agency is a bipartisan project and has...
Well, yeah, we got a country, man. Have you watched the FBI files, man? Who the fuck do you think? I got news for you. Catching kidnappers and serial killers is a bipartisan issue. That's something we all share, man. Come on.
He used to say, in all matters where both sides agree, you have no choice at all. The handful of national...
No, it might be that there's a consensus, dummy. Hey, man, if people say, you know, diversity is our strength, but it's the root of our strength, not the fruit of our strength. We all come together and make one tree that flowers for all of us equally. We don't come in there and go, I get one piece of fruit, and if you can't get it, fuck you. That ain't what it's for. And all this, like, fruiting diversity, strength, nonsense, bunch of shit. Dude, we all pay for our taxes and all that kind of stuff, or work our jobs. Part of it is so we have some cops so we don't have to worry about getting sniped in the head like it's the old fucking West, man. I don't want to live in some like rando episode of Kung Fu where Kwai Chang Caine never shows up and the town bully just wipes everybody out. What kind of world are you talking about?
Political leaders such as Henry Wallace in 1948 and George McGovern in 1972, who dared to challenge the war machine, were ruthlessly hounded into political oblivion by the leaders of both parties. I don't think there should be a war. Is he in a...
Are you all right? I'm just saying, dude, it's President's Day. And Jimmy Carter's a nice feller. He won. He didn't get reelected because he was facing headwinds, but he was a good feller. And all those people you like that Dorr fella and that Tucker fella, all they do all day long is shit on Jimmy Carter.
And yet, no, keep pounding. Warmongering by the Democrats always comes rapid in the mantle of democracy. Freedom and human rights making Democrats the more effective salesperson. It is. I didn't realize. I have not gotten the Bed Bath and Beyond War flyer to my trailer. That always comes wrapped in the mantle of democracy, freedom, and human rights.
Also, why the fuck are we just sitting here watching this English fella read us an article from this website like it's something? I know I came in late, and I know I ain't the brightest bulb in the box. Some would say I'm the one Christmas light that's always out. But I will say, what the fuck is the whole point of this asshole picking an article out of nowhere, reading an opinion piece as if it's reality, and then going, aha, when you ain't aha, motherfucker. You can't aha a fish story. Know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about? If I'm bullshitting you, you can't go, aha. See what he said? Yeah, I know, because I know I'm bullshitting you. What? Don't try to sell my bullshit to somebody else. I was just bullshitting you. You're stealing my bullshit.
Making Democrats the more effective salespeople for war. Democrats.
Well, then how come Al Gore didn't get elected by the military-industrial complex and get us into both the Iraq and the Afghanistan war then? It would have been a lot nicer. He probably would have, he'd have done mission accomplished, but they'd have had like a sales banner on it. Now, closing soon, Iraq, everything must go.
He lined up behind George W. Bush during the calls to invade Afghanistan and Iraq in the name.
Did we? I know a lot of folks on the Democratic side that were not particularly fond of a war of choice in that circumstance. Matter of fact, a bunch of them were out there in the street.
Humanitarian intervention and liberating the women of Afghanistan who would spend the next 2 decades.
Which, by the way, this asshole and a bunch of his friends were all just talking about if we leave Afghanistan, what's going to happen to all the ladies?
Living in terror, burying family members, at times their children. We've got to liberate these bloody women. Right, thank you for that, Raytheon. Thank you for that, Lockheed. How are them women doing? Oh, they're burying their children. Oh, well, shame about that. And then I'm doing another war. That cheer them up. Even when...
I don't know what he said there. I think it was a little like play he did in his head. Like, that's how it works out. Like, they pay Raytheon. So that's, by the way, Raytheon, that's that Dorr fella. He always brings up Raytheon. That's their go-to.
Democrats, including Barack Obama, criticised the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq while running for office. They steadfastly voted to fund the wars to support our troops once elected. They know we don't like wars. When I'm in office, there won't be any wars. Right, you're in office, so I'm afraid there's going to be some wars. I actually just said that to...
Then why ain't we still in Afghanistan? And how come we're only sanctioning Russia and Ukraine? Where are the troops? That's what I want to know. Come on, saddle me up. Let's go, son. You and me both. You believe in the autonomy of the interpersonal freedoms? You've done ayahuasca. You and I we'll both head down there to that Ukrainian front line.
Here. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says an assault on Ukraine is an assault on democracy. You'd know.
Yeah, well, that's not true. That's not, I mean, come on. That's not true. An assault on Ukraine is just Putin testing out his bombs. I mean, where's he going to test them? We've got Guam, bunch of islands, maybe parts of Nevada. Where's he supposed to test his shit? But on the skulls of Ukrainians.
The same arguments Democrats clung to half a century ago while launching and expanding the disastrous war in Vietnam. Yeah, we've seen this film already.
Yes, yeah. Ukraine and Vietnam, I mean, you can see how they're both equally tied.
It's called Platoon, Full Metal Jacket. They're still at it. So next time you're watching TV...
Well, no, we ain't actually. Platoon and Full Metal Jacket, great films, by the way. I still get antsy when I see the ant scene. Both of them are real good movies, real heartbreaking. But there's a difference between a total invasion and sanctions. Just saying.
Or it's just on in the background and you can't get away from it, because I know what you guys think about the corporate media, and you hear someone advocating for war and why it's definitely this time. This war, I know Vietnam was wrong, I know Korea was wrong, I know Iraq was wrong, but this war, this is a real...
Well, hey man, what you're saying, that's what kept us out of Rwanda. Yeah, that's what's keeping us out of Kenya right now during that civil unrest. And so that, you know, a bunch of those folks are cutting themselves to pieces, and we ain't getting in the way of it.
Just war. Everything's going to be okay. I want you to remember, what have wars done for me lately? Who's benefiting from this stuff? You? Is it helping your patriotism? The US domination...
Well, I certainly would rather be on the side of democracy than the side of autocracy and kleptocracy. So, yeah, I think so.
The world economy, after 75 years, is over. It's not coming back. Oh, wow.
But that's because we've been basically the world's Coast Guard. We ain't doing that no more.
I mean, isn't that incredible and amazing and astonishing and worrying and peculiar?
And a sentence that don't mean shit from somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, and yet we're supposed to take it as gospel. That's weird.
Strange. I mean, for those of us that in many ways love the United States of America while being cynical and skeptical.
Like how? If you love the United States of America, then why can't you quit monarchy?
About foreign policy, and mostly because of stuff like the war machine and the use of wars and the vilification of external nations and all of that stuff, it still feels strange.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're vilificizing Vladimir Putin. He's a nice feller. He's just a little bloated and misunderstood.
That geopolitics is about to shift so radically, and it also makes sense of some of the things that have been going on in the last few years. We manufacture...
like what? COVID? We manufacture little shorter weapons. We what? We manufacture little shorter weapons. The fuck are you talking about, man? We manufacture a shit ton of stuff. And even the stuff we outsource is still ours, dum-dum.
Or short of weapons. No wonder there's wars all the bloody time. Our economy is a miracle.
No. Our economy is a mirage built on unsustainable levels of debt. Bullshit. The pillage orchestrated by the capitalist elites and corporations has hollowed the country out from the inside, leaving the infrastructure decayed. Didn't we just pass an infrastructure bill so they'd rebuild some of that shit? Didn't Biden do that? Didn't that end infrastructure week forever?
Built on unsustainable levels of debt. The pillage orchestrated by the capitalist elites and corporations has hollowed the country out from the inside, leaving the infrastructure decayed, democratic institutions moribund.
I do like the fact that not only are we listening to this idiot read us an article as if it's gospel, he's holding it like he just found the Shroud of Turin's diaper.
And at least half the population struggling at subsistence level. The two ruling parties...
Okay, Was that choppy a video, or does that motherfucker have to edit his reading? Because I ain't
Puppets
that
for
bad.
the ruling oligarchs refuse to curb the...
Hold on. Hold on 1 second. My face is cramping being in character that long. The two ruling parties, puppets for the ruling oligarchs, refuse to curb the rapacious appetites of the war industry and the rich, accelerating the crisis. Oh, dear God. And not only that, we're covering the world in Starbucks and KFCs. It's terrible.
Rapacious appetites of the war industry and the rich accelerating the crisis. That the rage of the dispossessed is legitimate, even if it is expressed in inappropriate ways, is never
acknowledged by the Democrats. By the way, this is his argument that that Trump supporters are right.
Acknowledged by the Democrats, who were instrumental in pushing through the trade deals and deindustrialization, tax loopholes for the rich, deficit spending, endless wars and austerity programs that have created crisis.
Who were instrumental in. Yeah, if it wasn't for Democrats, we wouldn't have all those tax loopholes and deindustrialization or trade deals or any of those things. Like the Republicans, I mean, they were just along for the ride. Yeah, I know.
Instead,
this is long.
shooting the messenger, the Biden administration is targeting Trump supporters and winning draconian sentences for those who stormed the Capitol on January the 6th. Biden's just...
Draconian? The fuck are you talking about? Most of these people are getting a slap on the wrist for attacking police officers. Former domestic terrorism unit focus on extremists, and the Democrats have been behind a series of moves to deplatform and censor the right-wing. Oh, Jesus
Department
Christ!
Has formed a domestic terrorism unit.
This is Chris Hedges basically writing Tucker Carlson's opening monologue
To focus on extremists, and Democrats have been behind a series of moves to deplatform and censor their right-wing critics. You can see now why equating right-wing opponents, particularly, I mean, outside of the sanctioned political sphere, as terrorists, and there clearly is a move to do that now, would be necessary when there is an abiding awareness that the infrastructure...
Oh, fucking spit it out! Jesus Christ, man. We're not demonizing the generalized Trump voter. These are people who stormed the Capitol. It's not even the majority of them. It's the ones who went to jail because they were caught on video filming themselves, beating cops, carrying weapons, attacking people, injuring other human beings. In one case, trampling one of their own who had died of a drug overdose, and nobody got her help, just stomped her to death. Bye. Those fuckers are in jail, waiting trial. Everybody else has gone home, even if they're waiting trial. They're not doing it in jail. The people that are in jail right now, or that are getting the longer sentences, are the people who've spit at the judge on camera, told fired their attorneys, told them to fuck off, considered themselves sovereign citizen, said they were there as as a soldier of Trump and shit like that. Get out of here.
The nation is under deep threat and decaying, not as a result of the actions of their nominated opponents and culprits, but because of...
Oh, for blah, 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 blah.
As this article points out, financial...
Jesus, look at the edits. He had to cut... How much more blather was there in this bullshit? For fuck's sake.
Feasance, neglect, profiteering, lack of taxation, corruption...
Yeah, other buzz phrases I've said many times before, and yet they should apply here. Phrases that upset you. And therefore, if I take phrase that upsets you and associate it with something that is allegedly going on currently, even though I have no evidence that that's the case, you're supposed to get upset based on where I weaponize your empathy and care and concern and point it in that direction so I can fill you with anxiety and then run you to my other channel where I can teach you to meditate.
All the stuff, actually, that we talk about the whole time. In the end, I suppose it was going to lead to something critical. And it sounds like that's what we're approaching.
Yeah, what Chris Hedges writing an article about the Democratic Party being worse than the Republicans? Okay.
Belief that the Democratic Party offers an alternative to militarism, as Samuel Johnson said, the triumph of hope over experience. The disputes with Republicans are largely political theatre, often centred around...
Yeah, theatre. Centered around absurd or the trivial, gay rights, women's right to choose, trivial shit. trivial. Fixing systemic economic injustices that have been present in minorities' lives for decades. Finally, actually taking action to fix those things. Trivial. It's trivial. Because Chris Hedges and his buddy across the pond want the entire system of the United States to burn down because it will magically reform itself like the Terminator in Judgment Day. It'll just reform itself perfectly into a utopian socialist wonderland.
The absurd or the trivial. On the substantive issues, there's no difference within the ruling class. The Democrats...
Yeah, there's no difference. None. Like the Republicans embrace the fantasy that even as the country stands at the brink of insolvency, we're not. A war industry that has orchestrated debacle after debacle, not true, from Vietnam to Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm sorry, are we still in Afghanistan? Beg your pardon. Is going to restore lost American global hegemony. Oh, by the way, that is not our purpose. Not just the Democrats and the Republicans. Global hegemony is not our concern anymore. There was a certain point where our hegemony meant that we were policing the oceans for world trade. We're not doing that anymore. We don't need to. We are and continue to be, and I'll show you this. Hold on. U.S. energy. Remember how Trump told us that the minute he was gone, yeah, here you go. Remember how Trump said that as soon as Biden gets in, energy independence is gone? What's the date on this thing? February 19th, 2022. We don't need to go to war for oil anymore. We have moved, and especially with, Democrats have moved particularly towards renewables in such a way that we can relieve the burden of the consumer use of fuel, specifically gasoline, moving towards electric cars and hybrids, creating demand destruction for oil on a scale that has actually made it so that we do not need and will not need foreign sources of oil going forward. And we're going to expand some oil drilling, get used to that idea, over the next couple of years to guarantee that we do that so that we don't get involved in military adventurism, because without the oil from other countries, we couldn't run our entire economy. We've moved past that. What started under Obama, continued under Trump, and has reached to reality and is maintained under Biden will be an ongoing thing. The U.S.'s entire renewables push has been an exercise in demand destruction for oil and gas. That's what it's for. And we're not going back. Because over the next decade, we're going to shift to electric cars largely and hybrids and massive trucking and delivery trucks. Those will also switch to electric. So we'll need even less and less. So it'll mainly be barges, giant, factories and refineries and airplanes that will use oil and gas. So no more. How do you fix the war for oil thing? You stop using oil and gas. And Democrats have been pushing nonstop to get us off the oil tit forever. But they're the same. The Republicans and Democrats are the same. Same people, right? Can I believe Brand is worth $20 million? Of course I can. Yeah. I mean, he's a British movie star, and he lives under a monarchy as one of the protected class. Yeah, we don't have to watch the rest of this.
Republicans embrace the fantasy that even...
By the way, like, at this point, he's just reading this fucking article. Does he actually... I mean, other than reading this whole thing, what's the conclusion? He ends here. They are the system. They wanted to move back into the White House. Will it's all, and now... okay. Democratic courtiers and advisors of presidents, retired generals, diplomats, former Wall Street economists, lobbyists, blah, blah, blah. These are the people that like, they're all moving back in because Biden's president. This is the
White House to wield its awful force. And now, with Joe Biden, that is where they are.
Chris Hedges. Bullshit. Bullshit. I know that's what you want. Bullshit.
Christmas. Glad I put this hat on for that. I suppose when you read something like that, it helps you to recognise something that we've talked about at length in a variety of ways.
No, it doesn't. Because you have created, this is a cul-de-sac of information. You have just read a self-reinforcing document brought to you by your own bias that you're selling to a particular crowd that lives on the shit on America format. That's it.
Uncentralized governmental force. It doesn't matter who you vote for. There's no point in arguing with one.
Yes, it does.
There's no point in pumping up and inflating phony arguments at a point where personal, social, and cultural.
Yeah, guys, well, a woman's right to choose is a phony argument. Actually getting an infrastructure bill passed, it's a phony argument. Climate change is a phony argument. Pollution's a phony argument. Lead pipes, phony argument. Extending UI and then tapering it out in a gradual form, that's a phony argument. These are all phony arguments.
Awakening is necessary. Protest is necessary. New alliances are going to be necessary. Personal change and a willingness to look at other people with...
By the way, what he means is pretending to look left-wing while making that right-wing YouTube scratch. That's what this is about.
Love and compassion and hope is going to be necessary. Even though that article is almost a post-mortem of a dead nation, it's my belief that...
No. It's a fable. It's prose. It's bullshit. And by the way, there is zero science to any of it. We skip past some of it, but it's the same. I guarantee you. We roll back and yeah. There's no part of it where you're like, here's a graph. No.
From these atrophying systems, something beautiful can yet...
Yeah, democracy is an atrophying system. Something beautiful can happen again. Just ask Prince Andrew.
That there is still hope for humanity. There's still a hope for civilization. It's just there's no hope for the kind of corporate, capitalist, state-sanctioned, financially led, morally corrupt, empty, hot...
Oh, you mean Russia?
Shallow, sometimes downright evil systems that have been in dominance for the last century. Empires end.
Yeah, everything was so much better before the last century, before democracy really took hold and it spread to other countries. You know, we were, back when we had straight up theocracies, it was just, life was simpler.
But perhaps we have to look for new empires, new affiliations,
Yeah, that's what it is, new empires. Great. What was that about American hegemony again?
New awakenings. We no longer need to look for some paternal assistance and guidance from systems that are evidently...
Oh, we no longer have to read articles written by people that reinforce our own bullshit narrative back to us. We can just say it ourselves. We don't have to spend an entire video reading someone else's ideas as if they were facts and go, aha, see, I told you I was right because this person's opinion aligns with mine.
Now decaying and dying. We should, I suppose, just let them pass into oblivion because they're not going to offer us any redemption. There's not going to be any solution from those systems.
Yeah, you can't count on democracy. Just let it die, guys. It's mortally wounded by the debt it's taken on with all these social programs while trying to hold people up. And honestly, was it really there for anybody in the first place? I mean, weren't we better off when it was the Pope versus Pope number 2 against the czars against the emperors? I mean...
And I'm in a way kind of glad, because I've sort of felt this since I was about 16 years old.
Yes, we realize you are morally, emotionally, and intellectually stunted.
Never been able to describe it as articulately and with such accurate analysis as that beautiful article clear.
It didn't do any of those things. It was all his opinion, and a hyper negative one, because if the Democrats prove him wrong, it pushes off his dream of a collapse and a move towards totalitarian communism further and further away.
He does. But that's just what he thinks and what I agree with. Let me know what you think. And
yeah, there you go. That's just what he thinks and what I agree with. Fucking, what a waste of fucking time. Good Lord. All right, yeah, we're done. He's just gonna, at this point, he's just asking for sales. Whew.